Don't you just love it when you get to your spot and the forecast that says below 10 knots for wind seems to be just totally wrong? It's got to be 15, easily. Frustration levels are high. Oh well, you can only do what you can with this given circumstances. It'll test me, my patience, my skill. We'll see how we go. So today my plan is, I've arrived in the late afternoon. There's a tide change just after dark. So I'm going to brave the chilly weather of an early winter in Brisbane. I know for you, those of you down south, Brisbane winter, nah. But hey, it gets a bit cold. And if this wind hangs around, it's going to be even worse. So, but what I'm hoping is that the tide change that's just after dark, I might be a chance of picking up a dewy or some decent flathead just on dark and just after. That's my plan. I like plans. They're even better when they come off. If I had all day, I'd be stopping and casting at places along my journey. But I've got a fairly small window today. Probably only going to be on the water maybe four hours. So I'm going to try and concentrate on the areas that I know have held fish in the past, that I feel more confident in, and spend my time in those areas. I've got a lure out as I go, trolling through, just in case I'd managed to pick something up on the way. I don't like being on the water with the chance of fishing and not fishing, so trolling seems to be a good option. We've got an outgoing tide, so I'm trolling with the tide, which makes sense from a predator perspective. They'll be facing into the tide, waiting for things to come along with that tidal flow. So that's what I'm hoping to imitate with my lure. A nice little fish swimming along, minding its own business, until big Mr. Flathead jumps on and says, "You're mine." The things you see in the trees. What the hell is this? Is it a plane? A model plane? It's worth an investigation. It is a model plane. Looks like it's been in the wars plenty of times before. She's been stitched up and taped up. I don't know. Might be worth something to somebody, but it's not worth much to me. I think that's a fish. Yes, it is. It started off its life as a snag, that fish, and then it grew. Don't know if it might be a catfish or maybe a flathead. What an interesting fight. It's just hanging down deep, holding onto the bottom. A few head shakes every now and then. Oh, it's woken up. It's woken up in a big way. So probably a good time now to tell you about the outfit that it's on. This is a 2 to 4 kilo rod. I've got 5 pound braid and 8 pound leader. So I don't have a lot of power to play with, or abrasion resistance in my leader, so I do have to be a little bit careful about how much hurt I put on a fish. But as you can see, it's got a bit of go, so I've got to give it a bit of respect and see what it is. Take my time, like I've mentioned in previous videos. This is where you try and stay calm, enjoy the moment, trust in your gear. I'm going to give it a little bit of lighter drag to try and wear it out because it's fairly close to the kayak already. I'm thinking it's probably a flathead, but I don't know for sure. The water's pretty dark, and although it's only just below the surface now, I still haven't caught any glimpse of a silhouette or size. I'll get the net now. That's normally about the time when the fish decides that it's seen enough and powers off. Yeah, big flathead. They can do this. They can just play a little bit dumb, play a little bit quiet. So now is when I just have to hope that the 8 pound leader isn't rasping over its teeth, and that I'm not putting too much pressure on that's going to cause it to pop. Both because I want to catch the fish, but also I want my lure back. The lure in question is a Pontoon 21. Look at that there. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Now I want to get head first, and I don't want to rush it. Worst thing you can do in these moments is rush it. If he gets off because he's too good for me, well then that's one thing. But if he gets off because I've done something silly and rushed it, that's another. Okay, so I want to keep his head just below the water. No, that's not ideal. Oh, there's some dicey moments here. That's it. Oh, that's a good fish. I'm very happy with that for a troll on my way to my favourite spots. To come up with that, that is good. That is very good. Don't know if there's water on the lens. We'll do a quick check. Little spot. Hello. Clear? I'm just going to trying to deal with a fish of this size from the kayak is never easy, and I don't want to injure myself or the fish, so I'm just going to head over to some land and I'm going to take my time, get a few quick photos, measure him up. It's the possibility that it might be close to a PB for me. PB for me stands at 70 centimetres, so it's going to go close. Might be high 60s, might be low 70s. Probably not much more than that if so. But I'm making sure I'm keeping as much water running through that net as possible. Try and keep that fish healthy. But at the same time, I don't want him to get away after all that effort to catch him. So, or her, I'd say. It's probably a her at this size. Most of the large flathead are females. Not because they change sex as they grow, like barramundi do, but because it's been found that the male fish just don't grow as large. So chances are this is a breeding female. It's probably above the slot limit. Even if I was to keep a feed, I wouldn't want to keep anything this size. Okay, here we are. Time to get a little bit wet, but for a fish of this quality, I don't mind that. Got to make sure my kayak doesn't float away. Get it up here. Make sure my paddle doesn't do the same. Okay, so thank you very much, sir. Would I be able to trouble you to take a picture for me? Yeah, that'd be great if you could. Now I'm just going to bring it up here. Hello, beautiful. Okay, so the camera's ready to go. It's just the big silver one. Big. She's still pretty lively. She's biting down on my hand, so you wet the mat so it doesn't take the slime off the fish. There we go. What a beautiful big female. There we go. She is 73.5. And it's a new PB for me. That's the biggest flathead I've ever caught by a couple of centimetres, so. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, well that's just fun, isn't it? And when we put them back, they grow bigger next time. Okay, big girl, you ready to go? I think you are. Yep, off she goes. That's pretty special. Thanks for sharing it with me. You'll be a star on YouTube now too. What's your name? Colin. Thanks, Colin. Okay. Appreciate your help, mate. As I get my adrenaline back to normal levels, it was great to catch that fish and see it swim off to fight another day, healthy as. You just take care of the fish, let them go, keep them breeding. The cycle continues. Whew, that was good. Hope you enjoyed it. So before I left home today, I threw this lure in for exactly this purpose, for trolling along. Pontoon 21 Crackerjack, 58 SPMR. It's got me a heap of fish, this little lure, both casting and trolling. And it just had the standard hooks on it and they were getting a bit rusty. So I took the time to put some brand new, slightly stronger hooks on before I left today. I wasn't going to, I just thought, oh, you know, make that effort, take that extra 2 minutes, swap them out. So glad I did. The back trebles ended up in the landing net, the split rings pulled through, just in my effort to quickly untangle everything. I just gave it a good pull, and that was the weak point, but it did its job. So yeah, thank you, Mr. Crackerjack. You know the crazy thing, if I hadn't stopped to have a look at that broken model plane in the trees in the mangroves, I might never have caught that fish. Because it changed the angle of where I was going, I probably wouldn't have gone over that particular spot. Who knows? Maybe it would have jumped on anything going within 10 meters and I would have caught it anyway, but I didn't. I stopped, I checked that thing out, reset my troll, and within 20 seconds he jumped on. Gotta love it when things work out. One of the advantages of having your trolling lures situated in front of you is that it's very easy to keep an eye on the rod action. The rod is what tells you what's going on with your lure. You can see if it's swimming right, if it's caught a bit of rubbish, and see if you've got a hit without having to crane your neck and look up behind you all the time. Too often, if you've got the rod behind you, you'll be tangled up on something and your lure won't be swimming straight, and you'll be paddling along, blissfully unaware, wasting your time. So I would recommend to anybody that wants to do any trolling, put some rod holders in a position that's forward of you. If you've got a Hobie like I do, just situate them so that they don't interfere with your pedal stroke. And if you're in a paddle kayak, do the same. Just think about where your arms are going to be and where your paddle blade is going to be, so that you're not tangling up your rod or hitting your line. It can be done, and it's a very effective way of both catching fish and effectively using the time on the water between casting spots, if that's what you'd like to do, like I do. Today's tip of the day is brought to you by Rockets Fishing Adventures. Amateur fish psychologist at work. Yep.
Alright, can you get some pictures of
3-inch minnows, opening night. 1/4 jig head maybe?
Look at me shake! Oh my goodness! I've never caught one. Put your head around the tail.
Oh, look at that. What's your name, mate?
Mikey.
Mikey. You don't mind if I put this on YouTube, mate?
Mate, that's all good. I can't stand back. I can't get this tail.
You know it's a big fish when you got to stand back.